Have you ever noticed something strange? The more people you try to keep happy, the more exhausted you become, the more friendships you maintain, the less time you seem to have for yourself. And perhaps the most painful realization of all, some of the people you call friends may be the very reason your mind feels restless. This sounds uncomfortable, maybe even shocking, because from childhood, we were taught a powerful belief. More friends mean more happiness. But what if that belief is incomplete? What if the constant pressure to fit in, impress others, stay connected, and be available is silently stealing your peace? And what if one of the greatest secrets to happiness is not gaining more friends, but becoming comfortable with fewer? Today, we will explore a timeless teaching inspired by Buddhist wisdom, one that has the power to transform the way you see friendship, loneliness, happiness, and inner peace. This message is not about becoming antisocial. It is not about rejecting people. It is about understanding a profound truth. Your peace is more valuable than your popularity. And once you understand this truth, you may never look at relationships the same way again. So stay with me until the end, because one insight from this teaching could completely change how you protect your energy, your time, and your happiness. Let's begin. Imagine carrying a backpack. At first, it feels light. Then someone places a small stone inside. No problem. Then another, and another, and another. Each stone seems harmless by itself, but eventually, the weight becomes unbearable. Many people live their lives exactly like this. They collect relationships without questioning whether those relationships are helping them grow. They say yes to every invitation. They respond to every message. They worry about every opinion. They try to please everyone. And over time, they become emotionally exhausted. Yet they cannot understand why. According to Buddhist wisdom, suffering often begins when we become attached to things that are unstable. And few things are more unstable than the opinions of other people. Think about it. One day someone praises you. The next day they criticize you. One moment they support you. The next moment they disappear. If your happiness depends on external validation, your emotional state will constantly rise and fall, like a leaf being blown by the wind. The Buddha taught that true peace cannot be built on unstable foundations. It must come from within. But many people spend years searching for happiness and social approval. They become addicted to being liked, addicted to attention, addicted to feeling included. And this addiction often disguises itself as friendship. Modern psychology supports this idea. Research consistently shows that the quality of relationships matters far more than the quantity. A few meaningful connections can provide more emotional well-being than hundreds of shallow interactions. Yet society often celebrates numbers. More followers, more contacts, more invitations, more social circles, more attention. But rarely do we ask, at what cost? How much peace are we sacrificing to maintain relationships that no longer align with who we are becoming? This is where many people experience a painful awakening. As they mature, they discover that not everyone can travel with them on their journey. Some friendships were built around convenience. Some were built around shared circumstances. Some existed only because both people benefited from each other's presence at a particular time. But growth changes everything. The person you were 5 years ago is not the person you are today. Your values change. Your priorities change. Your mindset changes. And sometimes your circle must change too. This realization can feel lonely. But Buddhist wisdom offers a different perspective. Loneliness is not always the absence of people. Sometimes loneliness is being surrounded by people who do not understand your soul. Read that again. Many individuals are physically surrounded by others every day, yet feel deeply disconnected. Why? Because connection is not measured by proximity. It is measured by understanding. One genuine friend who truly understands your struggles is worth more than 100 people who only know your surface. The Buddha often emphasized the importance of wise companionship. Not all relationships lead to growth. Some relationships strengthen wisdom. Others strengthen confusion. Some friendships encourage discipline. Others encourage self-destruction. Some people inspire your highest self. Others awaken your worst habits. And this raises an important question. Who are the people influencing your mind every day? Because whether you realize it or not, Every relationship leaves an imprint on your consciousness, the conversations you have, the energy you absorb, the expectations placed upon you. All of these shape your inner world. Imagine placing a clear glass of water beside a drop of ink. Eventually, the water changes. Influence works the same way. This is why protecting your peace is not selfish. It is wisdom. One of the biggest mistakes people make is confusing access with loyalty. They believe being a good person means giving unlimited access to their time and energy. But healthy boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They help you distinguish between relationships that nourish your spirit and relationships that drain it. A tree cannot grow strong if every branch is pulling nutrients away from its roots. Likewise, a person cannot develop inner peace if every relationship demands constant emotional attention. The strongest individuals understand something powerful. Every yes to others is also a no to something else. When you say yes to unnecessary drama, you say no to tranquility. When you say yes to toxic relationships, you say no to emotional freedom. When you say yes to endless approval seeking, you say no to self-respect. This is why fewer friendships often create more happiness, not because people are bad, but because space is valuable. Silence is valuable. Reflection is valuable. And inner peace requires room to breathe. Many people fear being alone because they have never learned to enjoy their own company. They treat solitude like punishment. But Buddhist wisdom teaches something revolutionary. Solitude can become one of the greatest teachers in your life. When external noise disappears, you finally hear your own thoughts. When distractions fade, self-awareness grows. When you stop chasing approval, you begin discovering who you truly are. And that discovery changes everything. Because the happiest people are not those surrounded by the largest crowds. They're often the ones who have developed a deep friendship with themselves. A friendship built on self-respect, self-understanding, and inner calm. Now let's go deeper. Why do so many friendships, even those that once felt meaningful, eventually become sources of stress, disappointment, or emotional pain? The answer lies in something the Buddha understood thousands of years ago. Attachment. Attachment is not love. Attachment is dependence. And many people spend their lives confusing the two. When you become attached to someone's presence, approval, attention, or validation, you unknowingly give them power over your emotional state. Their response determines your mood. Their opinion influences your confidence. Their actions shape your peace. And this creates a dangerous cycle. Because the more power you give away, the less control you have over your own happiness. Think about how often people suffer because of expectations. They expect loyalty. They expect constant support. They expect others to understand them perfectly. They expect friendships to remain exactly as they were years ago. But life does not work that way. People change. Circumstances change. Priorities change. And sometimes relationships change as well. The suffering often comes not from the change itself, but from resisting the change. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. Relationships often follow the same principle. The more desperately we try to hold on, the more tension we create. The Buddha taught that everything in life is impermanent. Nothing remains exactly the same forever. Not success, not failure, not youth, not pain, and not friendships. Understanding this truth does not make you cold. It makes you free. Because when you stop demanding permanence from temporary things, disappointment loses much of its power. Many people spend years chasing friendships that no longer serve them. They ignore red flags. They tolerate disrespect. They remain loyal to relationships that consistently damage their mental well-being. Why? Because they fear letting go. They fear being alone. They fear what others might think. But sometimes the most courageous thing a person can do is release what no longer aligns with their growth. A snake cannot grow if it refuses to shed its old skin. Likewise, a person cannot fully evolve while clinging to relationships that belong to a previous version of themselves. This does not mean cutting people off with anger. It means accepting reality with wisdom. Not everyone is meant to stay forever. Some people enter your life to teach a lesson. Some arrive to offer support during a specific season. Some help you discover your strengths. Others reveal your weaknesses. Every relationship has value, even the painful ones, especially the painful ones, because suffering often becomes a doorway to wisdom. Think about your own life. Some of your greatest lessons probably did not come from comfort. They came from betrayal, disappointment, rejection, loss, moments that force you to become stronger than you thought possible. Buddhist wisdom encourages us to view these experiences differently. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What is this experience trying to teach me?" That single shift in perspective can transform pain into growth, and growth changes everything. The truth is that many people are surrounded by friends yet remain emotionally fragile. Why? Because emotional strength is not built through constant social interaction. It is built through self-awareness, through reflection, through understanding the mind. A person who cannot sit alone with their thoughts often becomes dependent on external distractions. They constantly seek stimulation, constant conversations, constant notifications, constant approval. But beneath all that activity is often a fear they do not want to face, the fear of meeting themselves. This is why solitude can feel uncomfortable at first. When the noise disappears, the mind becomes visible, the insecurities appear, the unresolved emotions surface, the fears emerge, and many people immediately run back to distractions, back to social media, back to unnecessary conversations, back to environments that keep them busy but not fulfilled. Yet this discomfort is precisely where transformation begins. Imagine entering a dark room carrying a flashlight. The room may contain things you do not like: dust, clutter, objects long forgotten. But only by seeing them can you clean them. The same is true for the mind. Self-awareness reveals what needs healing, and healing creates freedom. This is one reason why fewer friendships can sometimes lead to greater happiness. When your life becomes less crowded, your inner world becomes more visible. You gain space to think, space to reflect, space to grow, space to understand yourself beyond the expectations of others. And something remarkable happens. You stop asking, "Do people like me?" and start asking, "Do I like the person I am becoming?" That question changes everything, because the pursuit of approval is endless. No matter how kind you are, someone will criticize you. No matter how successful you become, someone will doubt you. No matter how hard you try, you cannot control how others perceive you. The Buddha understood this deeply. Trying to satisfy everyone is like trying to stop the wind with your hands. It cannot be done. The moment you accept this truth, an enormous burden falls from your shoulders. You no longer need to perform. You no longer need to pretend. You no longer need to exhaust yourself seeking acceptance from people who may never fully understand you. Instead, your energy can be directed towards something far more important: inner mastery. Because the greatest battle is not with other people. It is with your own mind. Can you remain calm when criticized? Can you remain kind when misunderstood? Can you remain focused when others are distracted? Can you remain confident when nobody is applauding? These are the questions that define mental strength, and they cannot be answered by popularity. They can only be answered through practice, through awareness, through wisdom. One of the most powerful realizations in life is this: you do not need a large circle to live a meaningful life. You need a healthy mind. You need purpose. You need values. You need peace. Everything else is secondary. Look at some of the most fulfilled individuals in history. Many spent significant time alone, not because they hated people, but because they valued clarity. They understood that constant noise often drowns out inner wisdom. The modern world encourages endless connection, but connection without depth often creates emptiness. You can receive hundreds of messages and still feel lonely. You can attend countless social gatherings and still feel disconnected. Because true fulfillment comes from depth, not volume. Depth in relationships, depth in purpose, depth in self-understanding. And this is where many people make a life-changing discovery. The fewer people they try to impress, the more authentic they become. The fewer opinions they chase, the clearer their path becomes. The fewer distractions they entertain, the stronger their focus becomes. And with that focus comes something priceless: peace, not temporary pleasure. not fleeting excitement, not external validation, but genuine peace, the kind that remains even when circumstances change, the kind that does not depend on popularity, the kind that cannot be taken away by criticism or rejection. Now comes perhaps the most important question of all. If having fewer friends can lead to greater peace, how do you know which relationships deserve a place in your life? Buddhist wisdom offers a simple but profound answer. Observe what happens to your mind after spending time with someone. Do you feel lighter or heavier? Calmer or more anxious? Inspired or drained? More focused or more distracted? The people around you shape your inner world more than you may realize. Some individuals bring clarity. Others bring confusion. Some encourage growth. Others encourage stagnation. Some celebrate your progress. Others secretly resent it. This is why wisdom is not just about choosing goals. It is also about choosing influences. Imagine planting a healthy seed. Even the strongest seed will struggle in poor soil. Likewise, even the most determined person can struggle in an unhealthy environment. The Buddha often emphasized wise association because he understood a timeless truth. Your surroundings influence your future. Every conversation affects your thinking. Every habit spreads through relationships. Every attitude is contagious. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, negativity begins to feel normal. If you surround yourself with gossip, distraction, and drama, your mind slowly absorbs those patterns. But when you spend time with people who value honesty, discipline, compassion, and growth, those qualities begin to strengthen within you. This does not mean seeking perfect friends. Perfect people do not exist. Every human being has flaws. The goal is not perfection. The goal is alignment. Ask yourself, do the people around me support the person I want to become? Do they encourage my growth? Do they respect my boundaries? Do they bring peace into my life rather than unnecessary chaos? These questions are powerful because they shift your focus away from popularity and toward purpose. And purpose is where true happiness begins. One of the greatest misunderstandings in modern society is the belief that being alone and being lonely are the same thing. They are not. Loneliness is the pain of disconnection. Solitude is the joy of connection with yourself. A person can sit alone and feel completely fulfilled. Another can stand in the middle of a crowded room and feel completely isolated. The difference is not the number of people present. The difference is the relationship they have with themselves. This is why self-respect is so important. When you genuinely respect yourself, you stop begging for attention. You stop chasing acceptance. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces where you do not belong. You begin to understand something powerful. Not everyone needs to understand you. Not everyone needs to approve of you. Not everyone needs to stay. And that is perfectly okay, because your value does not increase when people praise you, and it does not decrease when people leave. Your worth has never depended on public opinion. It has always existed within you. Many people spend years searching for peace in the outside world, a better job, more money, more recognition, more friendships, more followers, more approval. But eventually they discover that peace was never hidden in those things. Peace begins when the mind stops chasing what it does not need. This is one of the most liberating lessons in Buddhist philosophy. The less you depend on external validation, the more stable your happiness becomes. The less attached you are to approval, the stronger your confidence becomes. The less crowded your life becomes with unnecessary noise, the easier it is to hear your own wisdom. Think about a lake. When the water is constantly disturbed, the surface becomes unclear. You cannot see what lies beneath. But when the water becomes still, everything becomes visible. The human mind works the same way. Too much noise creates confusion. Too many distractions create anxiety. Too many unnecessary attachments create suffering. Stillness creates clarity. And clarity creates freedom. This is why some of the happiest people in the world live surprisingly simple lives. They are not obsessed with impressing others. They are not constantly comparing themselves. They are not chasing every opportunity to be noticed. Instead, they focus on what truly matters: meaningful relationships, personal growth, inner peace, purpose, gratitude. And because of that, they experience a deeper kind of happiness. A happiness that is not dependent on circumstances, a happiness that remains steady through life's ups and downs. As you move forward from this moment, remember this: you do not need hundreds of friends to live a beautiful life. You do not need endless validation to feel worthy. You do not need constant attention to feel significant. What you need is wisdom, the wisdom to protect your peace, the wisdom to choose quality over quantity, the wisdom to let go when necessary, the wisdom to grow beyond environments that no longer serve you, and most importantly, the wisdom to build a strong relationship with yourself. Because when you truly know yourself, respect yourself, and trust yourself, something extraordinary happens. You stop fearing solitude. You stop chasing approval. You stop measuring your worth through the eyes of others. And for the first time, you begin to experience genuine freedom. That freedom is not found in having more. It is found in needing less. Less validation, less comparison, less noise, less attachment, and often fewer but deeper friendships. The Buddha's wisdom reminds us that happiness is not a destination waiting somewhere in the future. It is a state of mind cultivated in the present moment. And sometimes the path to greater happiness begins not by adding more people to your life, but by creating more space for peace. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on the relationships, influences, and habits shaping your life today. Ask yourself honestly, what is helping me grow? And what is quietly stealing my peace? The answer may change your life. Thank you for spending this time with us. If you enjoyed this journey into Buddhist wisdom and life-changing insights, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who may need this message today. Join us again for more timeless teachings, powerful life lessons, and practical wisdom for a calmer, stronger, and more meaningful life. This is Wisdom Hub Buddha, where ancient wisdom meets modern life. Until next time, stay mindful, stay peaceful, and continue walking the path of wisdom.